I think I have an addiction to buying consoles. There's something so captivating to me about consoles and how each one looks and how they feel and the games that are attached to them. They all feel like time capsules, each with their own set of memories and experiences. I think this is a huge reason I've remained a console gamer despite all the benefits of PC. On top of that, the physical game collecting and just looking at your shelf and seeing all the spines of the games that are attached to the consoles you love. There's just something about consoles. Today I wanted to show you guys my console collection so far and maybe talk about some consoles I want to get in the future. But before all that, what's going on? My name's Hiram. If you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. It's good to see you. I want to talk about all my consoles in chronological order from which I bought them. So that brings me to the Switch, which was the first console I ever got as an adult. I bought this thing not long after a pretty serious injury. I was going through a really hard time and I was kind of just looking for a way to reconnect with my childhood. I remembered playing Ocarina of Time on the N64 when I was a kid, so I got on Google and looked up the easiest way to play Ocarina of Time. A link for Switch Online popped up, so I immediately went to the store, spent $300 on this thing, and I got Mario Kart with it. And yeah, that's kind of when I totally fell in love with video games. This thing is pretty beat up. It's got scratches. It's just the base model Switch, no OLED or anything. The thumbsticks on these Joy-Cons are looking disgusting. Look at that, what a little gremlin. How does somebody even do that? I don't know. When I got this thing, I was broke, I was living alone, and like I said, just injured. I plowed through Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom back to back. I will always be super nostalgic for the Switch despite going through such a hard time with it. I think a lot of people, when they think of things they're nostalgic for, it's things that provoke happy memories. But for me, this has a lot of sad memories attached to it, but somehow I always tend to feel nostalgia when looking at this thing. I will always have a soft spot for the Switch, especially over the Switch 2, just with its visual identity and all the games I played that are attached to this console specifically. A lot of people talk about how incapable this thing is as a console, but to be honest with you, I've never really had a problem with it. I was astonished that games like Tears of the Kingdom, Hogwarts Legacy both played on consoles like this. Both games I had a fantastic time with. I mean, obviously Hogwarts Legacy struggled quite a bit. I also think this console is just pure innovation. I think it's so cool that this is like the first of its kind. You can take the Joy-Cons off. It's like a tablet and console. I think this thing is a perfect console. You know, it's fun, it has good games. It does everything a console needs to in order to be good, at least by my standards. I don't know. I think my biggest complaint with the Switch as a whole is the lack of customization, to be honest. I think if I were able to switch the themes on this thing, it would be a lot more fun. Maybe that's a nitpick, but I do have a Switch 2 now. I'll talk about that later, but there's a part of me that just doesn't ever want to get rid of this thing. I might let my little sister borrow it. I thought I would just get rid of this thing as soon as I got a Switch 2, but as soon as I started thinking about it too hard, I was like, I don't know if I can get rid of this. There's too many memories, you know? I think my favorite game I've experienced on this thing is for sure Breath of the Wild. Mario Kart 8, Smash Ultimate are also up there for me. The next console I got was the PS4 Slim. I bought this thing with my brother for like $100 on Facebook Marketplace. I remember my little brother came to me one day and he was like, hey, I want to get a PS4. Do you want to help me pay for it and then we can share it? I had never owned a PlayStation up to this point in my life, but I was like, sure, why not? I heard there were a lot of really good games on the PS4. I was also very broke at this point. I think I had like $130 in my bank and then I went and blew most of that on this and some games. Long story short, we go get the PS4. We take it home, my brother plays it for a couple weeks and never touches it again. And so now it lives at my house. I always tell him he's welcome to play it, but it's kind of, you know, mine now. When I first got the PlayStation 4, I did not really care about it all that much for some reason. Like I said, I'd never really owned a PlayStation in the past, and I don't know, I was just kind of unfamiliar with PlayStation and what they did. I've really grown to love this console, especially after playing games like Shadow of the Colossus, Elden Ring, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I don't know, just memories of playing it with my brother and my cousin. I've really grown fond of this thing and I can't really imagine getting rid of it, especially because there's just so many good games on the PS4. There are so many games on here, I don't know if I'll ever run out. And maybe that's not true. Maybe one day I'll get a PS5 or a PS6 or whatever, but at least for the foreseeable future, I only am interested in older PlayStation consoles. Things like the PlayStation 2 or PS1 even. Despite the Switch being the more, you know, multiplayer friendly console, I've actually had a lot more multiplayer experiences on this. Like I said, I got this with my brother and he and I would play GTA. We would pass the controller back and forth and, you know, see who could get the most amount of stars without being killed. Also, my brother and my cousin would come over and we would play Uncharted together. We'd order pizza and sit there for hours and just, you know, chip away at the game and talk. Experiences like that will always make me think of the PS4. I love the space this thing fills in my gaming life. There are just some games that I'll probably only ever buy on PlayStation and never on my Switch. Resident Evil is actually a good example. I've never played a Resident Evil game. I think I'll always buy games like that on the PS4. First of all, because they probably run better. Second off is, I don't know, I feel like they just belong on the PlayStation. My favorite game I've ever played on the PS4 is either Shadow of the Colossus or Elden Ring. It might have to be Shadow of the Colossus just because that game is like top 5 of all time for me, if not top 3. But I'm really grateful for the PS4 for introducing me to the Souls games as well. I've played Elden Ring on this and a pretty good amount of Dark Souls. It's taken me way too long to beat that game. And that brings me to my next console, which is the new 2DS XL. I've talked about this thing a lot on this channel. I absolutely adore it. This is one I bought to cure my inner child as well. My parents never let me own a DS when I was a kid, and so there was a part of me that just had to get one. I remember when I was a kid, my friends all had DS's, and I just thought they were so cool. They looked like little spy computers when I was a kid. I just thought they were so sick. And buying one as an adult has probably been one of the best financial decisions I've made. I got this thing for a great deal. It came modded, and I've just been having a blast with it. I talked about in my last video, I'm currently playing through Fire Emblem Awakening. I'm also playing through Super Mario 3D Land. That game is so fun. The 3DS has so many weird games on it. And this is what I mean by each console having its own personality. Some games just feel like 3DS games, and they're games I couldn't really imagine playing on other consoles. It's really fun to have this thing. I love just pulling it out. I keep it in my backpack all the time. I love that it's kind of like a phone size. The Switch and the Switch 2 are not really portable in my eyes. I definitely want to get a lot more handheld consoles. I think I'm completely in love with this thing. I see people on the internet, you know, getting crazy about buying handheld consoles, and after owning this thing for a little while, I can 1000% see why. A lot of people in my comment sections tell me to buy the AYN Thor or the Iron Thor or whatever it's called, and to be honest with you, that thing does look sick, but I don't know if I could ever want to play my 3DS games not on a 3DS. It just feels too right, you know? I've talked about it on this channel before, but I do kind of get the ick seeing people on their phones in public, and when I'm just sitting around in a group of people and there's nothing to do, I'm waiting for something like a class to start or just whatever, I generally like to pull this thing out over my phone. I know it's still an electronic device, but there's just something that feels a lot more, you know, grounded in reality to have something like this rather than just be consumed by your phone. On top of that, I hate being on my phone. It makes me feel stupid and like I just wasted my life. When I'm on this thing versus my phone, I actually feel like productive in a way because I'm getting through games I want to play, and I don't know, building a bond with like a really unique piece of hardware, which I know that sounds really weird, but it's like what I said before. There's something about consoles that just have life in them, it feels like. And I feel like the 3DS, or in my case, the new 2DS XL, is one of the most soulful consoles that's ever existed. I love this thing. I just made a vlog with it. If you want to go check that out, I am for sure going to make a lot more vlogs with this thing because it is just very fun to take out, and it's like my little gaming companion on the go. The next console we got is the Nintendo Wii. This is one I got pretty recently. So far, I've absolutely been adoring this thing. Having it in my house is so fun. This is another childhood one for me. I had one of these briefly as a kid. My parents don't love video games, but we did have a Wii for a while. I adored the Wii as a kid. I loved the motion controls, I loved the games. This is another one with a ton of personality and a really good game library. If we're talking about identity, this console probably has one of the most distinct identities. When I was a kid, I played a ton of Lego games on this thing. I know I will probably always want to have a Wii in my house. There are just so many games on this console that I love to just pick up. One of my favorite games of all time is a game called Go Vacation, which is originally a Wii game. It's on the Switch, but I think it's so slept on. I know it's like a weird one to have on your favorites list. Games like that, Mario Galaxy, Sonic and the Secret Rings, Wii Sports Resort, Wii Play. This one is just so fun to like take out for a little nostalgia trip every now and again. I finished Mario Galaxy on it a little while ago, and I've been playing Wii Sports Resort just every now and again. The Wii, it feels like the Wii was just designed to make people happy. That's what it feels like when I play this thing. I feel like it's the mother console to the DS, and just having this in partner with the Wii, this is like the holy Nintendo experience. If you want to experience peak Nintendo, get a Wii and a DS. I said before that I don't know if I would want to get any Resident Evil games on any other consoles, but I have been eyeing Resident Evil 4. I think that would be a really fun game to get for this thing. I also mentioned Sonic and the Secret Rings before. That's when I played as a kid. That is for sure one I want to collect for this. I don't think many people like that Sonic game, but it's the only Sonic game I've ever played, and so I don't know, I want it. The Wii might be a contender for my favorite console. I honestly can't really think of one I like more. Maybe the 3DS, but I don't know, the Wii might top it. And the last console on my list is Jump Scare, the Switch 2. I got this thing for 350 bucks on eBay. I've never looked back. Only had this for a short amount of time. I really like this console. Like I said, it will never replace my love for the Switch, but it definitely does a lot of things better than the Switch. I actually have been really enjoying playing this thing handheld, I will admit. It's fun to lay in bed when I'm tired and just play Persona on there. I've played a solid 15 hours of Mario Kart World at this point. I think it's a pretty solid Mario Kart game. I don't know if it's as good as 8 in my opinion, but I've been having fun with it. I've also been playing a lot of Persona 5 Royal. Such a good game. There's not a lot of backstory to this console, but I really like it so far. Out of this list, this is the console so far that feels the most, you know, modern and professional, you know? Maybe aside from the PS4, that one does feel very like a pro console, you know? Maybe a better way of saying that is this is like the least Nintendo feeling console of all of the Nintendo consoles I own. I think it's a really good console. It just does lack a ton of personality, even from the Switch. And I gotta be totally honest, the no themes thing on this thing is such a letdown for me. This console though, I am really excited for the future of the games on this thing. After playing Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom on this thing, and being completely shocked that those games play on here, I am so excited for what they cook up with for the Switch 2. I'm really excited for the games to come on this thing, but I'm also really excited to play a lot of old Switch 1 games that I didn't play on my Switch 1. The better handheld experience and the performance boost has more than made this worth it for me, but I am very much looking forward to what new games come out. As far as future consoles I've thought about getting, the Steam Machine is definitely one of them. I know that's not a console, it's technically a PC, but I do want some piece of Steam hardware, whether that's a Steam Machine or a Steam Deck. I also think it would be really cool at some point to get like an Ein Thor or an Odin or whatever it's called, some kind of Android handheld. I really love the idea of all these small gaming handhelds that are coming out. All of like the retro emulator consoles are super interesting to me. Also retro handhelds like the Game Boy Advance I think would be really cool to get, maybe like a PSP or something. I also really like those cheap Amazon handhelds that are like, you know, 50 to 100 bucks that have like a bunch of games on them. I think it'd be cool to get one of those. I know they're not technically consoles, but like I like having little devices to play my games on. I think they're so fun. I also think the PS2 would be really cool to get. That's another one that has a really appealing library to me. I think it'd be super cool to play games like the original Shadow of the Colossus. I think just retro consoles in general are super interesting to me. Like the Xbox 360 also has a ton of really cool games. I think it'd be fun to try. This is all like way far in the future too, because there's no way I can fit all those consoles in my house currently. Also, let me know if you guys know about any cool handhelds or anything. But anyways, thank you guys for watching the video. Comment down below what consoles you have. I would love to hear about your collections. What is your favorite console or console library, whether you own it or not? What do you think I should add to my collection? I will admit I was a little nervous recording this today. It's been a while since I've been on camera. But if you like the video, like the video. I'll see you next time.